If you're an ambitious immigrant, you didn't leave your friends and family to live an average life. You wanted to live an amazing life. And that's very much possible, but you cannot take advice from people who are living an average life. And the reason I can say this is I've done well in my life. I got 3 promotions back to back when I came to Australia as a student. I went from being a normal employee to a team leader to a manager to starting my own company. And now that I've hired over 350 people in the last 9.5 years, I know what to look for when I'm hiring people. I know what to look for when I'm promoting people. I know what you need to do in order to succeed in your career, and it's not working harder, because everyone works hard. But look at the life that they have. They do not have a life where they're excited to go to work. Most people hate their jobs. Most people are not excited to get up on a Monday to go to work. But the top 1% live differently. They love their life. I'm making this video at 5 a.m. in the morning and I was working until 1 a.m. Do you really think it's because I love working hard? No, I love what I do. And I've built this life after actually learning on how to communicate well so that I can progress and get to the level where I have freedom to do what I love. And now I work harder than ever. The average love life is shit. Most people get divorced. Most people are depressed in their love life. They don't want to see their partners. I got to marry my best friend and we're building a life together while traveling the world. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because I knew how to communicate my value. The average friend circle is absolutely worthless. Most people can't do shit to help you out because they don't have life figured out. But over the last 9.5 years, and after training 1,200 immigrants and making the connections that I needed to actually help my career, I've actually got 87 millionaires in my contact list. So whenever I need something, I know I can call someone and they'll actually be able to help me out. And I didn't build these friendships by just doing what everyone else did. I built those relationships by being able to communicate my value well. And in order to live the top 1% life, where you've got a great career, a great love life, a great social life, the one skill that you need to master is communication skills, the people skills. Because if you are technically a 10 out of 10, but you only communicate at a 2 out of 10 level, the world will see you as a 2 out of 10. But for this video, for this community, for this course, we're only going to focus on their career. Because if you can master your communication skills at work, it's going to translate into your love life, into your social life as well. So we're just going to focus on work for this video, but it's the same principle across the board. Because this is not me saying this. Harvard, Stanford, Carnegie, all these big universities have done studies and all of them came to the same conclusion. 15% of your career success is based off of your technical skills. 85 is based off of how well you can communicate. So in order to actually live the top 1% lifestyle, there's 2 things that you need to understand. First, it's the journey. What are the steps involved so that you know you're heading in the right direction? And the second part is actually what do you need to do? So let's get into the journey. So the first thing that you need to understand is every single person starts off at the same place. They have no idea what they're doing in this new country. They're learning. The first year is just trying to figure things out. At this stage, you probably don't even have a job. You're trying to hunt for a decent job and not get something that is absolutely miserable. Everyone starts off at this place. Everyone has a different starting point. Some people have family and friends that can support them. Some people don't. My parents paid for the first month's tuition and gave me $1,000. After that, everything I had to figure out by myself. A lot of people have it worse than I did. A lot of people have it better than I did. It does not matter. Everyone has their own starting point. There's no judgment. But the first level that you really get to is where you're working part-time. And at that stage, you're only just surviving. And when you're in this stage, the whole focus is how do we get to the next level where you're not working part-time, but you can get to working full-time. Because at that point, you're not surviving. You're not struggling to pay your bills. You're not struggling to pay rent. You are a little bit more stable. But stability is a horrible place to be in because this is where majority of the population is. Stability is not the place where you want to be because one bad month and you're back into survival mode. You need to get to the next level as soon as you possibly can where you're not just surviving or being like living month to month, where you're actually having a little bit more extra in your bank account. You're having a little bit more freedom in your career to not just do the grunt work, but to have a little bit more freedom to do the fun stuff at work. And that is where you can say that you're living a successful life. This is the point where your parents can take a little bit of a deep breath and relax that, okay, my kid is doing well. But only 10% of people actually make it to this point. And it's not the people that just work hard, because this entire category of people, all of them are working hard, but none of them are actually living the life that they want. But the little issue with getting to this point where you're doing well, where you're making over 10K a month and somewhere between 10 to 30K a month, is that most likely you're actually working overtime. So it is a great place to be in. You have a lot more mental clarity, a lot more stability. You know where you're headed. You're clear on your direction and you're doing well. You're making a lot more money, but you're probably working overtime and it is going to be hard to sustain if you stay at this level forever. Because what you want to do is, once you've gotten successful, is you want to move to the next phase where you're not living a life of success, but living a life of significance. And you're significant not because of what you've done in your life, but because of what you're able to do and help other people with. Significance is about helping other people. And you only are able to do this when you're in that top 1% category. When you're making over 30K a month, that's when you can say and focus on helping other people. At that point, you've got freedom. You've got the ability to work on the things that you love working on, help the people that you want to help, travel more often, go to nice places to eat. And this is the place where you actually want to work towards. But for this entire video and for the focus of this course in the community that we're building, we're going to focus on helping you get from surviving and stability to success. Because at this point, you've got a little bit more time to take a deep breath and actually focus on doing the right things. So the first thing, in order to actually get to this level, there's a few communication skills that you need to master in order to get there. Now, most people, when they're on this journey of becoming a top 1% immigrant, they understand that when you go into the workplace, it's very likely that you're going to be invisible at work. You're going to be invisible in your job hunt. You're going to be invisible in front of your managers because you don't know how to communicate your value. So the first thing that we're going to help you in this group, in this community, in this course is that we're going to take you from being invisible to being truly valued by learning on how to take care of your presentation, how you present yourself. And then you're going to learn how to network. Because if you actually build the right connections, the right relationships, you will never have to struggle in getting the right job. For example, because I know how to network really well, I was on a train one day, really raggedy. I just woke up. I was going out to get some eggs from the grocery store, and I met the mayor of Texas. Now, I was in Australia. This guy was just on a family trip, and he gave me his business card before I left and said, "Look, I loved how you talk. I love how you carry yourself. We should chat." And I was looking very raggedy. I actually wore a shirt with a hole in the front pocket. Just woke up. I was going to get some groceries. It was my day off. But he loved how I presented myself. And because I had the networking skills, he thought I was a valuable person to know. And he gave me his business card. I never asked for it. And then later on, we went on and talked a little bit more and worked on something. But that's a story for another day. In order to be valued by your managers and your bosses as well, you need to learn how to manage up, how to communicate to the managers that you're working with that what you're doing is valuable and important. Because in this day and age, especially with AI, it's very easy to think that you're replaceable unless you communicate your value. So we're going to show you how to manage up as well. So that's the first thing that you're going to learn. The second thing that most people struggle with is you're actually going to be overworked in the beginning of your career. And in order to go from being overworked to having a balanced life, there's three things that you need to learn. The first is how to set boundaries. Because if you don't know how to set boundaries, you're basically going to get pushed around by everyone, your managers, your bosses, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your friends and family. You're going to get pushed around because you don't know how to set boundaries. But if you know how to set boundaries, life becomes a lot more balanced, a lot more comfortable, because you know that this is right, this is wrong, and I'm not going to budge. But there's ways to communicate this so that you don't burn bridges. Then we're going to actually show you how to have tough conversations as well, because sometimes you need to have those conversations with your manager. Sometimes you need to have those conversations with your team. You need to learn the frameworks on how to have these tough conversations. And once you're in those conversations, you're going to need to know how to negotiate, because just because you said something isn't the reason why it's going to happen. You actually have to go back and forth with people and find a win-win situation. And we're going to show you how to negotiate at work. Now, the last part is where once you've gotten good at all of these things, you're valued at work, you've got a balanced life, you're not being pushed around. The problem most people have is they're stuck in their career. They're not progressing as fast as they want to. And we're going to show you how to actually have a life of continuous growth where you're non-stop growing. And I'm going to be honest, the people who get promoted in my company, the ones I promote and I've worked with in the past 9.5 years, the reason why they get promoted is not because they work hard, it's because they are actually already mentally in that position of the next step. For example, if someone is just working as an employee and they want to become a team leader, that person is mentally already there. They know how to communicate as a team leader. They know how to lead. They already have the skill sets. So the reason why they get promoted is not because they've been in the company for long enough. It's because they're already in that position mentally and they have the skill sets to be worthy of that position. So what we're going to do is we're going to train you on confidence, how to be someone that other people can have confidence in. And that starts with you having confidence in yourself. Then we're going to show you how to influence, because look, I've been in sales for quite a while. I know how to get people to do what I want. And we're going to show you all the little tactics and tricks that we use in order to get people to do what we want for our businesses as well. You're going to learn some really cool Jedi mind tricks. But lastly, we're going to show you how to be a leader, what it actually means to be a leader that people can respect, people want to follow. Being a leader isn't a position, it's being in a situation where other people want to work hard for you. And how do you become that leader? Because only once you've mastered all three of these areas, can you consider yourself the top 1% in your profession. And if you become the person who can communicate like this, progress is basically guaranteed. But you only get there if you know how to communicate your value, if you know how to communicate and have tough conversations, and you can communicate like a leader. So look, if you want to see what's actually inside the group, inside the community, what you actually get inside the course, the next video is going to give you a little bit of a walkthrough. But I just want to make sure that you understand this one thing, that living the top 1% life isn't impossible. The dream is real. You just need to rise up.